I'm with. Yay! RVing with Joe and Joe. So this is actually day 2 of this RV trip, which is not my usual way to film, but yesterday it was raining, it was dark, and I actually took the RV to this location called Porteau Cove, which is only an hour and a half from my house. So I actually left my wife and dogs behind, grabbed the RV, and set it all up so I could just have it all set up and nice for us. And then today I went back, grabbed my wife, and now we're heading to the RV for 2 more nights. We'll likely go up to Whistler, maybe Squamish. I'll show you around Porteau Cove. It's a really nice little park where it's really high demand, especially during the summer. I've never been able to actually book here, but because it's after the Christmas break, I was able to find a slot. It's right on the water, which is a little funny because I just did a video about how dangerous it is to park near the water, but this isn't Pismo Beach. This is, the Georgia Strait, which is not really direct ocean, It's much more tepid out here. There aren't really waves, and unless there's a tsunami, we're pretty okay. Knock on wood. So we're going to get down there right now, and then once I get settled in, either tonight or tomorrow morning, I'll go give you a tour of Porteau Cove. One nice thing is that we've been able to get the humidity down to 50%, and it's currently around 20 degrees in here, although it's starting to go down because I have the door open. So that's around 70 degrees Fahrenheit. And as you can see, it is pouring rain out. Well, not pouring at this moment, but has been pouring in very, very wet British Columbia, a rainforest, and we've been able to get down to 50%. But to be honest, getting it much lower than that in this kind of weather is a real challenge, and it starts to get uncomfortable. If you get up below 40%, you start getting dry lips, you start coughing, sneezing easier. You want to be in between 40 and 60 is the ideal. Well, I'm out here in Porteau Cove in British Columbia. This is an extremely popular camping spot that's only maybe 45 minutes from downtown Vancouver. So it's one of those urban camping spots. Those take on a different feel sometimes. You get a lot more people coming from the city. Folks, unfortunately, will even reserve here just to come for the day, and then they bail in the evening, which is a real waste of a camping spot. There's day use places around here. And yet we have people using these camping spots as basic day use spaces, starving out the campers that want to use it overnight. But, that's life. They paid their fee. And I don't think there's any explicit rules not allowing them to do that. However, our original plan was to do some serious winter camping. My intention was to go do kind of a tryout of the Ember in some snow. But if you've been following the news out here in the West, there's just not a lot of snow yet. So we changed plans and came out here to the coast, to the water. This spot is really hard to get in the summer. So I thought I'd give it a shot since it was winter and it was easy to grab. You can see over my shoulder here, and I got some footage earlier. You might hear them over the construction noise. There's a bunch of, sea lions. Well, you can see one just popped its head up out of the water right there. They keep popping their head up in and out of the water as they fish here. And it means through the night we hear the barking. So if you are going to stay here, I would avoid spots like 4, 5, 6, and 7 if you don't want to hear the seals. As you go around the point, it gets much quieter. But for us, it's been a treat. It's kind of fun to listen to them go off. There was a few overnight conversations they had out there on the pier that was a little annoying. Of course, our dogs were barking a lot at them, but only in the beginning. They got used to it. So if you are coming to Vancouver, I strongly recommend the Porteau Cove camping area, especially if you want to visit Vancouver during the day. This is the kind of camping spot you can get and then go for day trips into Vancouver. And you're also only an hour away from Whistler. So you really have a lot of what Vancouver area has to offer for a tourist right here. Reservations can be hard to get, so log in and give it a shot. If you're coming in the winter, it'll be much easier. And I think really this is the best spot to stay if you're looking to camp and visit Vancouver as a tourist. I was able to get a few drone shots. I went outside of the park because you're not allowed to fly drones inside any of these BC provincial parks. But I went down the road and then went over to the water and just shot from the water side. So you can kind of make out our RV is right here. I'll put a little arrow in the photo or the video pointing out where we stayed. And it was right on the water. Anyway, you can see what British Columbia has to offer. It's been gorgeous here. Winters in British Columbia, especially this part of British Columbia, are just as gorgeous as the summer in my mind. It's a little colder. You got to bundle up. It got a little muddy. I had to go help out some tweaker we found in the forest when we were out on the side roads. He came biking up looking for a jump. And that was interesting. I should have recorded it, but we had to go a kilometer or two into some really weird back road, Forest Service road, where he had his RV and his truck and he needed a jump. And so we went out there. It took a little while. We got him going. I mean, he was definitely, hanging out in the forest tweaker guy, but that's all right. Do your thing, man. I was happy to help. And after everyone got me out of Stave Lake earlier this month, I feel like I have a few more karma credits I need to cash in helping other people out when they're stuck. So we went and did that adventure and almost got stuck in the mud again. But, the F-150 got me out. I didn't have to use the lockers. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up now. We've got checkout at 11. And I will say one negative thing about this campground. So you do have this on file. It is right next to the train tracks. You'll find that happens a lot in British Columbia where the camping grounds are right next to the train tracks. It's just the nature of British Columbia. I've talked about it before. The roads are where the railroads are and it's where the resources are. So usually roads, campgrounds, and trains are all wrapped up as one here in British Columbia. So the train comes really close, but it only comes so far. We've been here once a night in the early evening. It rolls through slowly. It's big and loud. It's probably only, 100, 200 feet in that direction. But it rolls through slow and then it's gone. I find it kind of a treat. Luckily, it's not coming through at 4 a.m. or I'd probably feel differently. So just know that it's not the quietest park in that sense. They're also doing a lot of construction, which you might hear in the background on the other side of the tracks. I think they're just shoring up some rocks and some kind of service areas. So yeah, it's a little loud today. But again, when you're 45 minutes from the city and you're camping, don't expect solitude, right? This is urban camping, in my opinion. Well, we're just about home. We're stopping off for a few snacks and food stuff before we get to the house. And, it was a very non-eventful trip. We didn't expect to do much except relax on this trip. Two things that I noticed on this trip for the Ember. One is when we just stopped a little bit ago and hopped in the trailer, I did see a few drips of water inside around the slide out. But we pulled that slide out in the pouring rain. And we wiped off some of the rails, but I just wonder, and I ask you folks out there with any slide out, especially the Ember owners, when you pull your slide out in the pouring rain, as much as you try to dry things off, do you end up seeing a few drips of water here and there? It was nothing like when we had water coming in through the wheel well, which looked like it was all fixed, and that would be a steady stream. And this was just, it followed a little bit of the same pattern, but it was very little water. And we were driving in pouring rain for, an hour and a half, 2 hours. So I'm thinking it's the slide out having water on it when I bring it in. It's very hard for me to call out, Ember or Woody's to fix it under warranty when the only water appears when I'm pulling it in the rain. It's very little. I should have taken a photo, but it's less than I've ever shown in a video back when I had a leak. Less water than any time like that. We weren't too alarmed. The other thing was because it did get below freezing some of those nights, I found that the storage area behind the couch, which is where we keep our pillows and our blankets, like in the morning when I opened it up, there was condensation on the inside of the walls there. I dried it up with a towel and it wasn't that big of a deal. I put all our linens in there, and when I pulled them out last night to use them again, everything was dry and fine. But what I did last night was just leave the cabinets open. I also left a couple of cabinets open in the slide out above the couch, just to make sure there was an even air exchange. And this morning there was no condensation. I've heard of other people talking about having some condensation problems inside the cabinets. So I was thinking of installing some air holes, drilling them in, putting some decorative, vent grate over it so it doesn't look horrible. But that way there's an even air exchange between the cabinets and the trailer itself when I'm using the heater. Because I think it's that difference that's causing a bit of the problem. But I'm not sure about that yet. So for those of you who've had condensation inside your embers during freezing temperatures, what have you done to combat that problem? That's a lot of mud. Might have missed a few streaks, but she looks pretty clean now. You'd never know I had her in the mud. Well, she's all winterized. We've gone and washed her. We got a few repairs to make here. I'm going to take my friend Cindy's advice. You might have seen her commenting on the humidity. So as we're leaving here, with it being 10 degrees, or what is that, approximately 50-ish, 50 plus degrees, and 60% humidity, I've lowered the bed and put in 2 damp rids. So these are the larger ones, all in one, $20. I think it's actually cheaper than buying the refills and the containers when I was doing the math, at least while these were on sale. So I put in 2, and I've got a third one that I'm not opening yet. I'm going to come back and see. You can see the pink juice there. It's fully winterized. So hopefully these 2 are enough. I'll come back here in another week or so to do some of those repairs, and when I do, I'll check to see what the humidity is. The trailer is all sealed up. All right, so that's the end of this episode of RVing with Joe. It was a short little trip to Porteau Cove. It was supposed to be a winter snow trip, but there's no snow. It's just starting to snow now in some of the locations. So we'll see in the next month or two if I can squeeze out an official snow trip where I'm not plugged in. And this last one, I was plugged into a post. So I was just using the electric heater a lot. And I want to do one true snowy RV trip where I have to rely on being self-sufficient and seeing how the Truma Combi works, seeing how the generator works. Hopefully I can get one of those in before spring, and then expect a lot more when spring comes. But we've got more coming up. Thanks to everybody who subscribed recently. I'm going to be doing some more commentary ones as well on some crazy RV setups and things like that. And I got a lot of Europeans mad at me for making fun of European trailers. So I think I might need to do an official, what's the difference between a European trailer and a US trailer, and maybe include the Australian trailers, since they're different too. A lot of Europeans aren't too happy with me right now, according to my comments. Oh well. Take care, everybody, and get busy living.